Hello class, my name is Lucas, and for this assignment I will be discussing movement concepts as well as fundamental motor skills. To start, let's go over movement concepts. Movement concepts can basically be described as classifications of movement, whether that's understanding balance or spatial awareness. Introducing movement concepts to children is important in fostering skills necessary for physical development and just overall enjoyment of physical activity. So today I'll be talking about 4 movement concepts, which include body awareness, space awareness, qualities of movement, and relationships. And I'll begin with body awareness. The concept of body awareness is supposed to foster an understanding of body shapes, balance, the transferring of weight, in younger kids. And an example of this would be instructing a child to make themselves big or make themselves small. Secondly, our next movement concept is space awareness. That space awareness develops an understanding of where, not what, we just talked about what, this is where the body can move in a given space. So an understanding of vocabulary associated with direction. So move forward, move backward, move to the side. That's space awareness. Quality of movement refers to how the body moves within that space. So that can be talking about speed, talking about force, and the flow of movement. So teaching kids how they can use their bodies, the way they move their arms, the way they move their legs, the way they bend certain joints to generate speed, force, and flow. And finally, relationship is a concept that refers to the body's relationship with another object or some sort of obstacle, whether that be a step or a bar. Relationship fosters an understanding of vocabulary such as above and below, over, under, back, forth, that kind of stuff. So as an example, you might do an activity where you ask a kid to go under a limbo bar. And of course they have to know what under means, and then they can perform that movement. So now I'll perform some examples of these concepts as if I was teaching it to a group of kids. So we'll start with body awareness, which is once again an understanding of the body's shape, balance, transferring of weight. So an example of this, of teaching this to kids, would be to tell a class, make yourself as big as you can. Here we go. Spread your legs out. Now we're as big as we can. Now make yourself as small as you can. So understanding different shapes the body can make. Another example would be telling kids to balance on one foot. Understanding how they can move their body to maintain that balance. Next, we'll discuss space awareness, spatial awareness. An example of teaching this to kids would be telling a group of kids to either bend forward, this is forward, bend backward. Okay, I understand what backward is. Bend to the side. Once again, it's understanding space is understanding direction. So forward, back, side to side. You could also talk about level. So maybe jump as high as you can. So I'm going to jump high. Or get as low as you can. Just understanding these certain terms and vocabulary words associated with this concept. Next is qualities of movement. So to teach this to kids, you would want to use terms such as fast or slow to perform a certain activity. So if I were to tell the kids, move in place as fast as you can, you would want that kid to understand that the closer he keeps his feet to the ground, the faster he's going to move. Finally, teaching the concept of relationship to kids would be to teach them words such as above, below, on, off, just vocabulary that has to do with interacting with objects. So an example of teaching this would be to tell a kid to jump over something, jump over the bar. We jump over it. Or, so now that we've discussed the movement concepts, we're going to talk about the two fundamental motor skills, which are locomotor and non-locomotor skills. Locomotor referring to movement through space, so moving from point A to point B. And non-locomotor referring to stationary movement. Some examples of these, we'll start with locomotor, can be hopping, jumping, leaping. There's many more, but those are the ones we're going to talk about today. We'll start with hopping. So for hopping, we want the kids to realize or to know that hopping is only on one foot. So you need to pick a foot. You need to use your arms to balance. You need to bend your body right before you hop, because you're going to use that force to move up and get some air. So let's hop on one foot. Bend and then hop. There it is. My arms are out for balancing. And what I can do is I can swing my arms up too to get a little more high. So here, let's hop one more time. Hop. Perfect. So that was hopping. Now jumping, it's kind of like hopping, but instead of 1 foot, it's 2 feet. So jumping is going to be sort of the same thing. To teach jumping, we're going to say we want to bend our knees a little bit. You can bend over. And when we jump, we're going to swing our arms and stretch upward as fast as we can to get as high as we can. So here, let's jump. Ready, and swing. Nice jump. Okay, so that was jumping. Lastly, we're going to talk about leaping, which is kind of a combination of both. So leaping, so to teach leaping to kids, I would basically teach them how to take a big step, but I would make sure that they understand how to use their arms to balance and generate some more force in their leap. So we'd start on 1 foot and then swing the other leg forward and take a big step. And I can use my arms to balance. That was our leap. Now for non-locomotor skills, which are stationary motor skills, we can discuss bending, swinging, and twisting. Now for bending, you want the kid to understand direction. So you could say, bend forward. You want to bend at the hips. Maybe bend over and touch the ground. And they understand that this is bending. Bend to the side. Now for swinging, this is also stationary and involves just being loose. So if I were to teach this to kids, I would say, let's swing our arms back and forth. Pretend your arms are a dog's tail. And you can swing them back and forth. Lastly, twisting. Twisting, I would say, twist, stay in one spot. You can use your arms and move them back and forth and twist your body with your arms.